What's up everyone, it's Joey, Blush Response, and today we're taking a look at one of the greatest synthesizers ever made, the Access Virus TI. Let's get right into it. Alright, so we got the Virus TI here. This thing is legendary. I remember when it first came out, it seemed like the first synth ever that you could just do anything on. Like, it really did almost everything, and it was updated so many times over the years to add more stuff, features that modern, powerful synthesizers today still don't have. I think it's really underrated. When it came out, got a bit of flack maybe for being, I don't know, too mainstream, too associated with trance. But I think it's awesome. It was my main synth for such a long time. Let's hear it and what makes it special. So you have 3 oscillators, virtual analog style. You can also have digital waveforms, just like standard single cycle waves. But then you can also do more modes, like hyper saw, up to 9 saws, which also has this cool hypersync feature. And this kind of predates a lot of stuff, like I think Serum might have something like that now. It started here, as far as I know. You have wavetables, and there's a ridiculous amount of wavetables. We're not going to go through them all. Scannable wavetables. Very cool sounding. You can change the interpolation so that they make hard transitions or soft transitions. Also, it has like 80 voices of polyphony. This is the TI-1. The TI-2 just added a slightly better processor so you could do more polyphony. Some people say the sound is different. I think it's barely enough to matter, honestly. I got the TI-1 again recently because it was cheaper. I used to have the Polar keyboard. It was really my main thing before modular. You have these wave PWM, so you have the same wavetables, but with a PWM simulation. You can also do detune on them. You have this grain table stuff. I forget exactly what the deal with these are, but they're sort of a variation on wavetables that have something to do with formants. You can do complex and simple. You can formant shift the whole oscillator. And the Waldorf Quantum and NW1 oscillator spectrum feature. I think it's also, this feature might be in the Blofeld, but it started here with the virus. You spread the formant. Detune. To get just some strange sounds, and if we change the wave to some really crazy, beautiful digital stuff. Just listen to that. Oh yeah. See, like, look, right away, this is a synthesizer I've used for like over 10 years, and I was already just doing something that I hadn't thought to do before, which made a sound I'd never heard from it before. That's how deep this thing is. So, okay, already the wavetable oscillator does way more. We'll show you the formant mode as well. This is a variation on the grain table. That's the same wavetable, but in the formant mode. And as you can see, it's a completely different sound. Grain. Wavetable. Grain again. And formant again. So you can see there are 3 really radical takes on wavetables. Again, might be the most complex wavetable synth there is. And of course, you can layer 2 oscillators with that. The 3rd oscillator has slightly less features. But not only can you do that, let's bring up oscillator 2 in the mixer. There's FM between oscillator 1 and 2. And you have different FM modes. There's triangle, which just does a triangle wave, positive triangle. Wave is the actual wave of oscillator 1. So you can see, as I'm shifting the wavetable, it gets really crazy. And if we put oscillator 2 into wavetable mode, for example, suddenly your FM mode's changed. You can do through 0 FM frequency modulation, or you can do DX-style phase modulation. So really tricky stuff. Changing the semitone. You can also detune oscillator too. Do some hard sync. Now the filters. It's funny because when I first had the TI, I always thought that the filters were kind of lame, and I had a bit of problems with the sound, but in getting it back in recent years, it sounds better than I remember. Let me just go to another initialized sound here, so we can just hear the filters. You know, this synth is like almost 20 years old now. So newer stuff like the Hydra synth or whatever might sound a bit more modern, but this just does so much more. To this day, this synth has features that are not in any other synthesizer. You got your low pass, high pass, band pass, band reject, band stop, notch, whatever you want to call it. And that's just one filter. You can stack the two filters in serial, parallel, whatever. So you can get a lot of weirdness with that. Then there's also the filter saturation. So you can add distortion. Lower the FM amount. You get all these different saturation curves. There's a wave shaper. Rectifier. Make that a pad. Obviously, the Octatrack doesn't make the best keyboard ever, but we're going for it. All right, so you've got all these different saturation curves, bit crushing, rate reducing, follow extra filtering, whatever. But let's start making a sound I like. Let's get some beats going. And get really fucked up really fast. We'll go to the mod matrix. You can assign almost anything to anything. One of my wishes for this was that the oscillators could be used as a mod destination. They can't. Or mod source. They can't. It's probably my biggest complaint. Also, you can't really get filter FM, and the LFOs are not audio rate. But there's so much other shit in here that it's like, well, do you really need that? I don't know. You can almost do any sound you want. So we'll go envelope 3, make that do the FM amount. Yeah, and you've got 4 envelopes total. So here we got like a basic FM thing. We'll get a sequence going. Gonna get like a EBM style bass line. Add some distortion. I love the wide distortion. very digital sounding. With wet and dry mix, you have all different kinds of distortion. Wave shaper again. Rectifier again. All the same curves from the filter saturation plus more. Rate reduction. Soft bounce. This is like a weird type of wave shaping, which I always like the sound of. Only hearing filter 1 right now. Hard bounce, same kind of thing, but harder curve. Sine folding. Put a little bit of delay. The delay is awesome. You have all kinds of delay, classic style. You have tape delay. That's just the tape delay. So already pretty trippy, I gotta say. Let's edit that kick a bit. You also got reverb. I love the reverb. It's a sick reverb. Let's hear that soloed. Got all different kinds. Ambient, small room, large room, hall. You can filter it. You can clock the pre-delay. More filtering as well. Yeah. But we're just getting started. Like, there's so much you could do. You could do chorus. We'll bring in the chorus now. And the thing is all the effects can be used at once, and they can all receive modulation from the mod matrix. And there's effects in this synth that are in almost no other synths as far as I can know. Chorus. You have this classic chorus. Let's hear that. Vintage chorus, which is, I think, a Juno emulation. Hyper chorus, which is something else altogether. I think it creates like multiple detuned copies, more like a hypersaw type of thing, but for any sound. You have air chorus. I forget what this does, but it's dope. Hyper chorus, really strange. You have a vibrato. Rotary speaker. Again, that's a really rare one. And yeah, there's so much. Listen to that craziness I just got with the classic chorus. And yeah, they thought of everything. You can do sample and hold, and this other type, which the name escapes me right now, but something else, different waveforms. There's the phaser, which is probably one of the most signature effects of the virus. Yes. Now we're gonna get to the really weird effects. There's a vocoder. There's this filter bank effect, which is just insane. So with that, you get a ring modulator. Like a ring modulator on the end. That's such a great idea. Not in very many synths. But then you have a frequency shifter, like a Modular-style frequency shifter. This was the first time I had ever heard of one, and there are almost no synths that have one inside. I think the Nord modular does. What a crazy sound. Let me turn off all the other effects so you really hear what it's doing. Okay. Frequency shifter. And you could spread it stereo. What a crazy effect. There's a bit of reverb on that, my bad, but you get the idea. That's not the only thing you get, though. Formant filter. Let me actually turn off the distortion here. Formant filter. This was a later addition to it. Foam filter. There's just so much in here. And then there's extra filters too, that are sort of like Oberheim expander style filters, if I remember correctly. This one crossfades between different filter types, low pass, high, and band pass, of course. 1 pole, 2 pole, 4 pole, 6 pole. Then there's Verislope filter, kind of like a surge Verislope filter. There's so much. Amount of poles, here's your slope. All that modulatable from the mod matrix. Again, get the sine fold back on here. There's also triangle fold, sawtooth fold. You have extra filters, bit rate reducers. You have stomp box simulations like of a Tube Screamer and a DS1 and whatever else. They're named after the colors. So like a Mint Overdrive, that's a Tube Screamer because Mint is green, etc., etc. You have speaker cabinet modeling. There's so much in this synth that is in almost nothing else. It's just crazy. Like the frequency shifter alone. Why isn't that in more synths? That's just so sick. Yeah. There's way more than I could cover in one video, but the point I'm trying to make here is there's just so much. And wet and dry on all the effects is fantastic. Let's speed it up. Getting a little kind of pad from the reverb. Yeah, there's low and high EQs. You can use the arpeggiator as a modulator with different patterns. It has kind of preset arpeggiator patterns that can be used as a matrix destination. Like, there's so much here. I switched it to wavetable mode. Actually, I'll do a spectral wave again, but I'll make oscillator 1 a wavetable. Now we'll do the wave shape. And yeah, the LFOs have preset destinations. They can also use any of the spectral waves. See, like here, I'm editing LFO 2, and you can see the shape, sample and hold. And then you have all the different spectral waves for that, which makes it get really crazy. They can fire one-shot envelope mode. There's no limit. So sub oscillator. Turn oscillator 3 on. Which can also have the digital waves, but not the wave-tail or anything. There's also a ring modulator. Yeah. White noise. This is a filter tweaking the wave shaper. We'll damp that reverb. We'll also have LFO 3 modulate the cutoff. We do that in the mod matrix. You can do bipolar or unipolar modulation from the LFO. Noise has variable color. We're doing filter work. Really trippy. Pushing LFO rate maximum on the cutoff modulation. And yeah, no filter modulation. That's some crazy digital noise there. We'll put the chorus and phaser back on just for fun. And the phaser. We'll edit the mix of those. It's just so ridiculously sick. You can treble boost the distortion. You can cut the highs if you want. Yeah. And that's just one sound. I'm actually going to save that sound. There's so much you could do. Like, where do I even begin? We'll put a filter saturation, rate reducer. Yeah. This synthesizer can really do almost as much as any modular system, with the exception of feedback patching and stuff. This is super comprehensive. There are few synths that do as much as this does. The Quantum is one of them, Nord Modular, the old Waldorf Q and XT get somewhere in there, but none of them have a frequency shifter, except the Nord Modular, I think. None of them have those variable slope filters. There's not a comb filter in many of them, in many other synths at all. Bring in that comb filter. There's a vocoder. Also, you can plug in audio to this and do live granular manipulations using the atomizer function, which no one really talks about. Comb filter. The filter bank comes before this distortion in the past, so. Yeah. Sick comb filter. Stereo spreading it. Now I'm sending the delay, maximum feedback, as well as the comb filter. The delay can be modulated. Just listen to that. Now with the comb filter back in. Try doing that on any other synth. Yeah. Virus TI, still epic. Will never leave my setup again. You also have this analog boost thing, if you want to use that, which sort of allows you to apply different EQ curves, emulating different synths, vintage 1 to vintage 2. There's a pad opener, lead enhancer. This is not. It's really just little simple EQ curves. Lead enhancer, pad opener, lead enhancer, bass enhancer, stereo width effect. How many synthesizers have a stereo width effect? Speaker cabinet. Bring that comb filter down. Ooh, it had a stuck note there. But anyway, back to that speaker cabinet. It sounded dope though. See, there's bass enhancer, lead enhancer, pad opener, vintage 3, vintage 2, vintage 1, analog boost. I think this was supposed to emulate a Mini Moogs EQ curve or maybe a Juno. It was one of those two. Oh, also, we didn't even get into this, but in the filter, there's a Mini Moog filter emulation with selectable between 1, 2, and 3, 4 poles. You can't use the same saturation curves with them. It has its own. But again, it's a new type of filter. Yeah. Let's bring that distortion back. You can also do unison. There's preset routings for velocity mapping. You could do 16-part multi-mode, so you can sequence an entire track from this, play it live. There's 3 stereo outputs. It is fucking insane. Still not bested. Unison detune, update voices. Now think about that. If you had 2 hypersaw oscillators running with 9 waves each, unison of 8 voices, it's a ridiculous amount of saw waves if you really feel the need. We'll go into the wide distortion. We'll do tape. There's a tape Doppler which does stereo spreading of it. So much in here. It's just so much. And this is just one patch I made. Now I'll show you some patches I made. Just to give you a different idea of some different sound. Some amazing pads here. Virus TI. So that was really dope. The Virus is one of the most powerful and coolest synths of all time. It has features that are not in very many synths to this day, almost 20 years after its release. It is incredible. It sounds incredible. I might do another video about processing external audio through it because it can, and it can do it can be a fully fledged effects unit and filter bank, and also do like buffer shuffling effect stuff with the atomizer, which is sick. It can just do so much, and few synths can do what it does. I love the sound of it. I think it's really special. I don't use the TI total integration aspect of it at all. I'm not interested in using it as a VST, so I'm not judging it on that. I know some people have problems with that, but as a hardware synthesizer, it is unrivaled. It takes something like a Quantum to really step up to it, and even the Quantum doesn't have a lot of the features that the Virus has. It has other features, of course, but the unique effects, the unique sound, the grain informant table, there's stuff in the Virus that's almost nowhere else, and I think that really makes it one of the greatest synths of all time. So, as always, samples of this jam and every other jam I do are going to be on my Patreon. There's a lot going on there, exclusive videos, news, etc. You can learn from me. Check it out. And don't forget to smash like and subscribe here. And if you want to buy a Virus TI, there's an affiliate link in the video description for Perfect Circuit, so you can get yours there. I get a kickback from that. Thank you. Until next time, peace out.